This is Daryl Evans with Kings Vision at LAKings.com with Kings Director of Amateur Scouting, Mark Yannetti. Mark, another draft upon us here, the 2013 draft, just a couple of days away. I know the process each year is probably very similar, but talk a little bit about the steps leading into this year's draft.
Well, as you said, the process doesn't change per se. Our area of concentration changes. You know, when we were in the bottom of the league and picking high, our concentration was on a different level of player, you know. And so this year it's more, some of those players are just not available to us, you know, and there's no thing of picks or prospects that could get us up there. So it's more focusing on maybe the latter half of the perceived first round and picking 57th overall. So it's just our area of focus changes a little.
And when you look at your staff over the course of the year, how many games are you guys taking in now, and is there more video being done as opposed to maybe 5-7 years ago?
We've always been strong with the video. It was one thing Dean preached when I got there, something I hadn't done a whole lot of when I got to LA, and it's definitely a valuable tool. So we definitely incorporated the video early on. Picking later in the draft and having the number of picks we have in the latter rounds definitely lends itself to more video because you're focusing on a lot more players. You know, you can be a little more pointed and focused when you know you have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. You're relatively sure of the players that are going to be there. Now it's a little more scattered and it's a little more hard to predict as you go later. So we use the video in that respect. In terms of the live viewings, we've seen everybody that will make our list, we've seen play live. One of our scouts, if not all of our scouts, have seen play live. Guys like Tony Gasparini and Bob Crocker have seen over 300 games each. You know, and then Mike and I have made the rounds all over the world. So,
when you talk about all over the world, when you look at it, where's the strength? Where's the stronger league maybe this year? Is it the Ontario Hockey League? Is it college? Is it Europe? One of the countries over there?
I still think that predominantly the 3 perceived major junior leagues in Canada, just from sheer numbers and depth alone, they're the area of concentration. Once again, Ontario is. It's hard to make a blanket statement. They're probably perceived to be the deepest, but you know, the colleges. We've picked from every league. You know, we don't shy away from Russia. We don't shy away from Europe. We don't shy away from college. You know, it's all the leagues. I think Sweden and Finland are pretty deep again, especially in terms of the higher level talent. Russia, it can be an enigma for some, but you know, there's some, you know, as evidenced by the Centrals list, and there's some pretty high level talent in Russia.
Well, you look at the draft for the Kings over the last number of years, been a strong part of their development and getting themselves to the Stanley Cup and winning that championship. When you look at the players that maybe are on the cusp right now, a little bit like Tyler Toffoli, he's a player that came up this year, excelled in the American Hockey League. You like where his game's going right now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Tyler's development was probably accelerated a year from what we anticipated. But he made such a transition from the junior game to the pro mentality, and you know, our development staff is top notch. You know, between Mike and Nelson and OC, you know, and Muzz is stepping in to help now too. The guys are almost forced to adapt that pro mentality a little earlier now. The college guys a little less because we don't have the same access to them. So you see a guy's development path like Tyler, it might be accelerated, and then you have guys like Nick and Forbes, whose takes a little bit longer because they have to take a more methodical step-by-step path before we get to them. So it's nice to see Tyler do what he did, and it's definitely a pleasure. But there's a whole lot of cooks involved in that one.
And when you look at the players when they get, let's say, the American Hockey League, how many times or how closely do you watch them at that level?
I'm lucky. I'm only 45 minutes from Manchester, so I sneak up there. You know, sometimes I'll go up with OC. Most of the time, I'll just sneak up there myself and catch a game when I'm home. I got to see a couple playoff games, so I saw some of the new guys adapt to their surroundings. You know, in the Sabrins. So it's lucky for me. You know, I can just supplement games and I can go up there on a whim.
And I know when you look at the draft and the Kings, again, not having a first-round pick and the status of where the organization is right now, the way they developed, not likely that we're going to see anybody drafted this year that's going to step right in and play on the team. But if you looked out at the team in Manchester, what players, in your opinion, would be the closest to maybe breaking a team come training camp?
You know, I mean, it's all about opportunity, and we're a very deep team. I think the three forwards have distinguished themselves, you know, as a line. I think those three guys have distinguished themselves throughout the year. So I would say that Toffoli, Vey, and Pearson would have the inside track, but guys like Andrioff bring a certain, you know, a certain skill set that's valued in, you know, you never know if a fourth line role opens up before a second line role. So those three guys would be the obvious choice, but then you have guys like Andy and, you know, you look at what Shore's done in just a very short period of time from leaving college last year to just what, you know, what I've seen in development and the work that Nelly has done with him. You know, he's probably closer than we thought he would be at this point. Doesn't mean he's knocking on the door to make the team, but his development is accelerated already.
Well, it's always exciting watching the kids develop when they get to finally be drafted by the Kings in this case. Good luck on Sunday and keep up the great work.
Thanks.
This is Daryl Evans with Kings Vision at LAKings.com with Kings Director of Amateur Scouting, Mark Yannetti.